Are you ready to unlock the key to legally purchasing goods tax-free for resale in Wisconsin? Stay tuned to discover everything you need to know about obtaining your resale certificate. Welcome to The Explainer, where we transform complex tax codes into clear, actionable guides to really empower your business. I'm thrilled you're here today because we're tackling a topic that directly impacts your bottom line.
Like I just mentioned, we're answering that big question right now. Let's dive into something that could dramatically increase your profit margins, all while keeping your day-to-day operations strictly compliant with state laws.
To demystify this whole process, we're going to follow a quick 6-step roadmap today. We'll cover unlocking tax-free resale, who qualifies for exemption, a step-by-step application guide, a real-world business example, actionable insights and pitfalls, and finally, compliance and final takeaways.
So let's jump straight into Section 1. Unlocking tax-free resale, the key to protecting your margins.
All right, let's get into the mechanics of this. In Wisconsin, the government doesn't actually mail you a physical license labeled a resale certificate. Instead, you use something called Form S-211, officially known as the Wisconsin Sales and Use Tax Exemption Certificate. And what's really interesting here is that it's a self-executed form. You literally just fill it out yourself and hand it straight to your supplier. Doing this lets you buy inventory meant for resale without paying that sales tax up front, which means you totally avoid double taxation at the wholesale and retail levels. Pretty great, right? Now this brings us to a crucial distinction that trips up a lot of entrepreneurs. A Wisconsin seller's permit is issued directly by the Department of Revenue. That's your official state license allowing you to collect and remit sales tax from your customers. The resale certificate, or Form S-211, is a totally different tool. You fill it out to avoid paying upfront tax on the inventory you're buying. So just remember, the permit is your state license, but the certificate is the actual piece of paper you hand to your supplier. Moving right along to Section 2, who qualifies for exemption, eligible buyers, and required notations. So who actually gets to use this awesome tool? Well, obviously, registered retailers with a Wisconsin seller's permit qualify. But you know what? The system is surprisingly flexible. Even if you don't hold a Wisconsin permit, you can often still qualify just by writing specific phrases on your Form S-211. For example, if you're a wholesaler who only sells to other retailers, you literally just write wholesale only. Out-of-state resellers, you can just use your home state permit number. And if you're a manufacturer, a farmer, or even a marketplace seller whose taxes are handled by platforms like Amazon, you just use the phrase exempt sales only. It really is that straightforward. All right, Section 3, Step-by-Step Application Guide, Securing Your Tax-Free Status. Let's break down exactly how you do this in the real world with a simple 4-step procedure. Step 1, if you need one, go ahead and register for a seller's permit using Form BTR 101. Step 2, gather up your essential business details, things like your federal employer identification number and your NAICS code. Step 3, use those details to completely fill out Form S-211. And Step 4, please remember this one, you never mail Form S-211 to the state, you simply hand it directly to your vendor or supplier right when you make your purchase. Now here's a quick heads up, while printing and giving Form S-211 to your supplier is completely free, getting that underlying seller's permit does come with a small cost. Securing your permit requires a one-time $20 initial fee. You have 2 ways to apply. If you hop online and use the one-stop portal, you'll generally get your permit number in just 1 to 2 business days. But if you go old school and mail in the physical paper form BTR 101, you'll be waiting up to 15 business days. So for most of us, applying online is absolutely the way to go.
Let's see this in action in Section 4, Real-World Business Example, the Online Retail Entrepreneur.
To really bring this home, let's imagine a hypothetical small business owner starting an online clothing store right here in Wisconsin. Our entrepreneur uses their seller's permit to execute an S-211. Now they can use that certificate to buy their actual stock, boxes of t-shirts and jeans, completely tax-free because those goods are going to be resold. But, and this is a big but, they absolutely cannot use that same certificate to buy their office computers, packing tables, or display shelves. Those are operational items for the business, which means they are fully taxable. This strict separation is super important. In fact, there's a rule straight from the Wisconsin Department of Revenue that explicitly states if you take a product you bought tax-free and use it for anything other than holding it for sale, you have to pay up. So if our entrepreneur decides to, say, wear some of that inventory themselves, they are legally required to report and pay the sales tax on those specific items.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Actionable Insights and Pitfalls, Avoiding Costly Mistakes.
Brace yourself for this one, because it's a shocker. 50%.
If the state determines that you fraudulently misused a resale certificate to deliberately evade paying your taxes, they can and absolutely will hit you with a massive 50% penalty on the total tax due. I mean, that is a devastating blow to any small business's cash flow.
And unfortunately, the financial pain doesn't just stop at that percentage penalty. In Wisconsin, misusing an exemption certificate is officially classified as a misdemeanor. On top of that, every single fraudulent invoice carries an automatic $250 fine. This is why strict compliance is just non-negotiable. It is definitely not worth the risk just to save a few bucks on office supplies, right?
But hey, for our out-of-state viewers, we do have some great news. Wisconsin actually accepts multi-jurisdictional forms, like the Uniform Sales and Use Tax Resale Certificate. There is a small catch, though. In Wisconsin, this specific form can only be used to claim a resale exemption. You can't use it for any other type of tax exemption. But as long as you're using it correctly, it is an incredible time saver for businesses operating across multiple state lines.
All right, we're in the home stretch now. Section 6, Compliance and Final Takeaways, Keeping Your Business Legal.
Sellers, listen up, because this one is specifically for you. When a buyer hands you a properly filled out S-211, you have to accept it in good faith. But more importantly, Wisconsin law mandates that you keep every single accepted resale certificate on file for a minimum of 4 years. If your business ever faces an audit, these certificates are literally your shield. They are the only proof you have of why you didn't collect sales tax on those specific transactions.
You also need to make sure you maintain your active status. You see, even though Form S-111 doesn't exactly have an expiration date, it relies entirely on your seller's permit. You have to keep your permit active because if it lapses, your S-111 instantly becomes invalid. Also, just be aware, if a business has a history of tax delinquency, the Department of Revenue might actually demand a security deposit of up to $15,000 before they even issue a permit, so definitely stay in good standing.
Before we wrap things up today, please keep in mind that this explainer is strictly educational. We designed it to summarize the source materials and give you a robust, easy-to-understand overview. But, as we all know, tax laws and state regulations are complex and they do change. You should always verify the specifics with appropriate state resources, or better yet, consult with a certified tax professional or legal advisor to get guidance tailored exactly to your unique business situation.
By eliminating upfront taxes on your inventory, you have just unlocked a massive competitive advantage. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will mastering these tax compliance strategies and protecting your profit margins empower the future growth of your business? What exactly will you do with those savings next? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me on This Explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll catch you next time.